Welcome to Life, Love, Etc., a show that covers all aspects of life, relationship, and success. I'm your host, Dr. Anna Elton. Today we have a special guest, Marcos Gabriel. He's an accomplished makeup artist and creative director who worked with major events, New York Fashion Week, pageants, Miss USA, Miss America, Mrs. America. And he's also founder of Butterfly Effects, brand built on transformation, artistry, and confidence. Welcome, Marcus. I'm so
Uh,
glad to have you here. You're so amazing, and I love talking to you.
Thank you so much for having me on. I'm so privileged and so honored to be here with you tonight. And everyone watching, thank you so much for tuning in. We're excited to have a wonderful conversation tonight.
So, let me start by asking, how did you even start this world of pageantry, beauty, makeup?
You know, I actually found my way into it by accident. So I have done an array of jobs since I was the age of 18. I've done everything from pushing shopping carts at Publix to polishing vaginal magnetic dilators that are an actual medical device for women. I've done it all. And I ended up getting into pageantry because I was doing an Instacart ride one day. I needed to make some extra money. This was actually during COVID time. And I needed that extra money and I needed it ASAP. So I did an Instacart ride one day. I was delivering tanning lotion and eyelashes. Come to find out, the person who I was actually making that delivery for was the assistant director to the Mrs. Florida America pageant, which is an official preliminary to Mrs. America. Um, and it all just happened by chance, right? It was like we always talk about being like at the right place at the right time, and I think that that was definitely one of those moments where I was just at the right place at the right time. I had $100 to my name. I
Mhm.
had no professional makeup kit put together. I just had a little small something that I would use to do makeup on my sisters and friends. And after that day, I came back to her house. I did a trial. She asked me to show up at the pageant, and that's actually when I met you backstage at Mrs. Florida. That was my first time ever being backstage at a pageant. That was my first experience as a professional makeup artist, and I mean, since then, I mean, so much has happened. It's insane.
Oh my goodness. I remember that day. You look like Elvis Presley. Did you have my blonde hair, had my curling curls, right?
Yes, yes, and that beautiful yellow dress. I remember I saw the yellow dress and I was like, I'm gonna go talk to her. I need to talk to her. It was just so beautiful. I mean, yellow is my favorite color, so I guess I'm partially biased, but you just I'm so glad I did because your energy and your aura was just it was just radiating through all of it.
Thank you. So, tell me about your journey. So, since that day, right, when we met 2022, right, 4 years ago. So, what happened?
Oh my goodness. A lot has happened since then. I have gone to Mrs. America, I believe 2 or 3 times now.
Hmm.
I have also gone back to Vegas to work the Mrs. World pageant about 2 or 3 times as well. I've been nominated at the Global Beauty Awards for Most Empowering Hair, Makeup Artist, and Stylist. I've worked Miss USA. I've worked with Nigel Barker from America's Next Top Model,
Oh my goodness.
New York Fashion Week. Just so many things have happened that I can't even wrap my head around it, to be completely honest with you.
That's amazing. So, when you think, look, when you're thinking back on all these experiences, what's your favorite one?
Oh my goodness, that's a good question. I would say my favorite would probably be the moment that I was discovered, honestly. I
Hmm.
think that all these experiences have been my favorite in their own unique individual way. But nothing could come close to that initial feeling of just seeing the deep end of the pool and just diving into it, you know?
Hmm.
And doing so with a little bit of fear, but just enough faith that I would make it happen. And, every time I work, Miss USA or I go back to Miss America, I always look back on that time
Hmm.
because it's a very humbling experience, and it's also just a way to keep myself grounded and reminded of, how I came to be, where I came from, and all the people who've believed in me that have made the overall experience my favorite.
I love that. But it's so interesting, right? When you look back at younger Marcus, right? Um, so, is there something that you would tell yourself? Is there any piece of advice that you would want to tell someone who's just starting?
Be patient and keep going. Absolutely, keep
Were,
going.
were there any times when you're about to quit, or you feel like you did not have that moment in the past 4 years?
Often. I think actually a lot more than people would imagine.
Hmm.
Um, One of the things that I've come to discover about success is there really is no definitive way to define what success looks like or what it means, right? Because it looks different for everybody,
Yeah.
and it's one of those things that it's a constant evolution, right? Um, but when I look back on those moments, like I would just say, you have to keep going because even in the face of doubt, there is possibility on that other side, right? And oftentimes, I mean, I still struggle with imposter syndrome. I mean, there are times where, I'm in a room with so many incredible people, and I think in my head, like, wow, like what am I doing here? Like, just from a small cow town in New Jersey, like but then I look at the room and I'm like, like I was asked to be here, so I guess I'm supposed to be here.
You know what's interesting about imposter syndrome? I was looking into research. I even have an article on Psychology Today about imposter syndrome. So what's interesting? So when you feel imposter syndrome, that means that you're growing. And then if you go into the room and you don't feel imposter syndrome, that means you're in the wrong room.
Wow.
So
That actually makes everything make so much more sense because I'm telling you, even even to this day, I've been doing this now for, a little over 5 years, and I still get excited every time I pick up a brush. I still get excited every time I complete a face, the same time, in the same ways I do, like the same way I did in the beginning, right?
mhm,
The first face I ever painted, I
mhm,
still, all these years later, still feel the same exact level of excitement and also that little bit of imposter syndrome because, I mean, I never ever want to feel like I've made it and I'm here. Like I always want to keep growing and I always want to keep evolving, right? But there is also, I think, a time too where it's okay for you to look at yourself and be like, no, like I've done these things and I've accomplished them and I am who I say I am and who I'm becoming.
So when you think of success, when you think of goals, so to get here, was this is your goal originally or no? Or do you feel like it's keep moving, that goalpost?
I think the goalpost definitely tends to keep moving a little bit, in terms of, again, like I don't ever want to feel like I have peaked, so to speak,
Hmm.
right? I always want to be a student. There was someone that had told me that it was actually at a pageant too, backstage. And in passing, I heard this woman saying, you never want to feel like you have it all figured out and that's it and there's nothing
Hmm.
else to learn. You always want to stay teachable. And that's something that has always stuck with me. And I think because of that, the goalpost is constantly always moving. Maybe not tremendous amounts of feet, but maybe, a couple inches here and there. But this was never like my goal was never to be a makeup artist. My goal was to just find something that I loved to do
Hmm.
that did not feel like work and
Hmm.
allowed me to do the things that I love to do, which is to make people feel seen and feel beautiful and that kind of thing. I'm very much all about feel good positive energy.
Hmm.
And makeup artistry was just something that essentially fell into my lap that ended up being the one thing that marries all the things that I love together and thus is, produced through my work.
So makeup is about creativity, right? Makeup is about confidence. So it's so interesting because I was looking at just research psychology of confidence and how the way we look affects the way we feel, right? So have you seen people coming in and not feeling confident about themselves, and then after they get off your chair, after you do the hair, the makeup, they feel like a totally different person.
Oh yeah, all the time. And I think that's my favorite moment of the entire experience
Hmm.
because there's nothing more gratifying than when somebody sits in your chair and they leave feeling like the most elevated, most empowered, most beautiful version of themselves. And it's not just what's happening on the outside, but it's about taking the outside and then connecting it to what's inside, right? Um, I I do my best to connect with all my clients,
Hmm.
and just so that they feel comfortable and they feel safe in my space. I want that for everybody that sits in my chair, um, and also so that they feel safe to be able to show me who they are, and so that they can be themselves. So that ultimately we can arrive to the end goal together. And they look at themselves at the end and they're like, "Oh my goodness, wow!" Like I never thought that I could look or feel this way, and for me, that's really what it's all about. It was never about money or notoriety or anything like that. It was just about making people feel seen,
Hmm.
because I know what it's like to feel invisible and not feel seen. And I've committed myself to making that something that is possible for everyone who sits in my chair, for them to be seen.
I love that. So when you think of photo shoots, pageants, fashion shows, what's your favorite?
I love all of them, but I would say I definitely lean more towards like fashion and editorial work. Um, but I love all of those different, segments for their own individual characteristics, right? Like pageantry is just this incredible way of, celebrating women and helping them find their strengths and bring them out, right? And giving them a place to celebrate it. Whereas, fashion photography and things like that, it's kind of similar in the sense, right? Because you are pulling something out of the subject and giving it a place for it to shine and for it to live, right? But with like fashion photography, I mean, like the limits are just like virtually non-existent, right? And my brain is always like oozing with creativity. And I love to just like push the envelope in that sense, and fashion photography really gives me the opportunity to be able to do that.
Yeah, I love fashion photography.
It's just
So yeah, it's so fun
it's so fun.
because I feel like you can be anyone you want, right? And then you
Yeah,
get to be in that character, and then
yeah.
it just looks so cool.
And
And
it's not something it doesn't happen all the time, and it doesn't happen often, right? So when you are able to get in front of that camera, and you have a designated person that's there that's helping you execute the vision with a team, it's something that is like it's a whole experience in itself. It's so much more than just taking pictures. It's all about becoming and embodying, and that for me is just ugh, it just incredible.
so another thing I was thinking is what's important, right? So reach that success is you need to keep going forward, right? You need to learn, you need to work hard, right? Sometimes you can work many, many hours and pageantry, right? What time do we start makeup? 2, 3 a.m. sometimes, right?
Yeah,
Sometimes you
yeah,
do the night and then a couple of hours later you do another photo shoot. So
yeah.
there's a lot going on, right, in pageantry.
Oh yeah,
So, but also I was thinking about networking, right? Because I feel like networking, that's what helps people to meet other people and then you just don't know where it's gonna lead you to, right?
right.
So what do you think about networking? So who did you meet by chance? Who opened the big doors for you in the past
Well,
4 years?
I would like to just take a moment to shout out Jolie Nolan, who is
Hmm.
the assistant director for Mrs. Florida America. She Every time I think of her, my heart just feels so warm and so full, because she gave me an opportunity and she didn't even know me through a hole in a wall.
Hmm.
She just saw me and believed in my talent, my work, and gave me the opportunity and essentially walked me through those doors. Um, and I'll never forget it. Every time a monumental moment happens in my life, I always think about her, and I always have these, I call them like random moments of gratitude,
Hmm.
or I'll just be randomly driving and I'll think of someone that has opened the door for me or helped me, cross a barrier, and Jolie being one of them. And I'll just shoot her a text and just say, thank you so much. I've made it here because of you. And, or, I'm continuing to grow because, you believed in me before anybody else did. And I do that with a lot of people. Victoria Duke also being one of them. She's the official hair and makeup sponsor for Miss America. Um, I'm so incredibly grateful for the people that I've met through pageantry. I had when I got into all of this, I had no idea what a pageant was. I mean, I knew what Miss Universe was, but I didn't know that it was considered a pageant. So, when I got thrown into all of this, I didn't realize that it's so much more than just putting women on a stage and saying, "Here, judge them." The opportunities, they go beyond the stage and also the makeup chair, but they extend through the room.
Hmm. It's so interesting, how different fashion shows from pageantry, right?
Oh yeah.
Even the way you walk, right? Like how you pose, it's
Oh
totally
yeah.
different. Hair, makeup, right? For
Yeah.
pageantry, you need this like wave, right?
Yeah.
Pageant waves and specific makeup,
The
hair,
full glam.
yeah, more glam.
Yeah.
So the more the better,
Yes. Yes. My girls love a full beat.
and all the sparkle, right?
Oh, you can't have pageantry without the sparkle. I mean, I love a good sparkle moment myself.
So let me ask you, last 4 years, they were not smooth, right? They were definitely exciting, a lot of accomplishments, a lot of successes, but you had moments where you wanted to stop. Do you want to share one of the moments or like what helped you to overcome and motivate you to keep going?
Yeah, so I think my parents dying really had something to do with it.
Mhm.
That's a it's probably the most prominent motivating factor in my life, and I talk about it a lot on my social media because it's something that's really important to me, and I think it's also really important that I share my parents' story because I am who I am because of them.
Mhm.
I get my talent and my creativity from them,
Mhm.
and I think had I not lost them at such a young age, I lost my dad when I was about 22, 23, and then I lost my mom when I was about 26 or 27. They both died 5 years apart. My father died in 2018 in a car accident, and then my mother died in 2023
Mhm.
from multiple myeloma cancer. She was diagnosed, and then a year later, she passed away.
Wow.
And I don't think that I would have been able to accomplish any of the things that I've done thus far had that not happened in my life because, in a way, I've wanted to stop plenty of times,
Mhm.
but I just absolutely cannot because I have to keep going for them. My parents died young, and I think it would be a disservice to them if I didn't do anything meaningful with my life, you know?
Mhm.
And I think that for me has been one of those moments that really it comes and goes. For the most part, it is the fuel that pushes me to keep going.
Mhm.
And then it's also one of those things where like it can be crippling at times too.
Mhm.
Hmm. But it was all necessary, I think, because had that not happened, I don't think that I would even be sitting here having this conversation with you right now, having taken any of my goals seriously, right?
Mhm.
I think when you go through something like that, especially like, like I lost my father in a car accident. I was talking to him on the phone like 2 days prior to it happening. And then in the blink of an eye, he was gone. And that is something that has really scarred me in a way where it's indescribable, honestly. But I will say that that was one of those moments that has changed my life for the better and has pushed me to do what I do today, which is, like I said, making people feel seen through my work and feel loved and feel valued.
Mhm. Well, thank you for sharing.
Of course.
It's a lot.
It is a lot. But I think people should know that you can go through things like that and you can still make something out of yourself. It doesn't have to be the end of the road for you. And
Mhm.
there were moments when it first happened where I didn't see the end of the road. I sat in front of my father's urn for 3 months and I cried every single day for 3 months until I couldn't cry anymore. And I was like, okay, like I need to do something. I have, my family to take care of. My sister was in the hospital. She was in the car accident with him and half her body was fractured from the impact. And she needed me, and in a lot of ways I kind of had to skip over what I felt just so that I could do what needed to be done. But in the process though, I became who I am today, and who I'm constantly becoming.
You're absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
So, when you think of the goals, right? When you think of successes, is there a dream? Is there like this one big goal that you're trying to reach?
I need to do Lady Gaga's makeup before I die.
Okay, I like that.
I listen. I I absolutely love and adore that woman so much. I mean, it's so much more than her music and her artistry. I mean, I love her for all that she is, and I think I wouldn't even know who I am if I didn't know who Lady Gaga was. Like,
Mhm.
I really credit her with, helping me to learn to love myself and, be accepting and, all the things that she embodies and the things that she promotes. And I have to do her makeup one day. I have to. I mean, it just we're manifesting that it will happen. I want to do Lady Gaga and Mariah Carey. Those are the
I
they're at
love
the top
that.
of the list.
So now you need to start shifting to the music industry.
Yeah.
So when you go to pageants, right, Miss USA, do they have any celebrity judges? Is this is the way to actually meet someone?
I think it's possible. Yeah, because I mean, you know, so many of these women have such incredible backgrounds, right?
Hmm.
And, half the time you wouldn't know unless you've like, scoped out their social media or if you are actively going out of your way to, talk to them and get to know them, which you should do if
Hmm.
you're in a space like that because, most of those women, if not all of them, have incredible stories
Hmm.
and they all do incredible work. I've met women who have done everything from, they're authors to, doctors and nurses and surgeons and, all kinds of stuff. But you wouldn't know unless you spoke to them,
Hmm.
And I do think that it's definitely possible to penetrate other markets through pageantry because there's such a diversified group of women who are brought together. And to answer your question about celebrity judges, we get them all the time.
Hmm.
I actually met I wanna say it was last year, maybe the year before, I met Hilary Duff's mom backstage at Miss America. Now, I'm a huge Hilary Duff fan. I grew up watching Lizzie McGuire as a kid.
I love her.
Like, I that was my girl, and so
Hmm.
meeting her mom in person was definitely it was such a pleasure and such a joy. She's so kind. She was actually showing me pictures of Hillary and her babies, and we
Oh,
had such a beautiful moment together. Rihanna's dad was also a guest judge at I believe it was Mrs. World one year.
okay.
Yeah. Yep. I got to have a conversation with him. So yeah, I mean the possibilities are endless.
I love that. So what's next for you? Like, what's the next big project?
I want to write a book.
Ooh, okay. Is it fiction, nonfiction?
It's I would classify as nonfiction because it's the book is going to cover the story of my life and the things that I've been through, but in a way that is also a tool to help the reader.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I
they can
that's
take something away, right? And
yeah, I just my again, this never any of this was never it was never about money or
mhm,
notoriety. I just the only thing that I care about is that the people who come in contact with me and sit in my chair, they leave with something that is theirs to keep, right? Because the makeup is gonna get washed off at the end of the day,
mhm.
right? But I want them to at least, like, walk away with, like, a feeling, of either, feeling amazing or, feeling even better about themselves and, who they are or that kinda thing, right? I want there to be something that people can take away
Mhm.
from, just having any kind of experience with me, and I think for the longest time, even as a kid, I always had this idea that, like, my life should be a movie just because
Mhm.
I've gone through some crazy things in my life that when I look back on it, I don't even know how I survived any of it. But I'm here and I'm grateful for it. And I do believe that that is a story that needs to be shared with the world because I think that there is something that a lot of people can take away from it, and use it to apply to their lives to help make them better.
I love that. Do you have a timeline?
Well, I'm actively writing it actually as
Okay.
we speak. I have a very busy schedule,
Mhm.
so I try to make the time where I can, but I often find myself writing when I'm flying
Mhm.
in between states and to clients. I'll just sit on the plane and I'll just sit there and I'll write. But it's coming together. I don't have a definitive timeline yet, but it is actively being worked on.
I see. Yeah, book writing is fun, but sometimes, especially when you work on the timelines, it can be extremely stressful.
Yes, it is. It's definitely one of those things too. I think as I'm writing it too, um, I find myself going back over things because right, because you're reading it as you're
Mhm.
going, right, and then like making edits too at the same time. So it's definitely it's pretty complex, but it's something that I've never done before,
Hmm.
and I'm really excited about because I'm an artist. I love to just get my hands on something and like create things, right? And I do love to write. I tend to get a little philosophical on my Instagram every now and then, but it's one of those things that I think I'm strong at.
Hmm.
Um, and I do believe that I have a message that needs to be shared, and I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna make it happen, and not only for myself, but also for my parents, whose story also deserves to be told, and also for the people who are out there who are looking for that something to help unlock that next level in their mindset that helps them get to where they want to go next.
I love that. So, do you hope to be traditional published or self-published this book?
I would love to be traditional published, but I'm going to get it done either way. I don't care if I have to sit on the corner of the street and sell my book out of my car. I will do it. It needs to be out there, and it needs to be out in the world. I recently helped a dear friend of mine, Dr. Julia Schnell. She was
Uh-huh.
Mrs. World
Yeah.
2324. She's a wonderful friend of mine and also client. And I just helped her with designing her book, The Beauty of Purpose, which is now on Amazon. And after having done that, I was like, you know what? If I can format the book from a graphic designer's perspective, I can definitely write one. So I can do a good majority of the work. We just got to get it published.
Well, with nonfiction, that's a good thing, right? So you don't
Hmm.
have to write the full book
Hmm.
to get an agent and sell the idea to publisher.
Hmm.
You just need to have a few chapters. You need to have the synopsis of the book.
Right.
You need to have the marketing analysis of like why your book is different and how you're planning to sell your book, and that's enough to actually get a deal, book deal.
We're going to make it happen.
So, with fiction, you have to write the whole book, right? And also,
Right.
you take your chances. Maybe they will like it, maybe not. With nonfiction, not as much work, but then you actually have to do it.
That makes me feel very hopeful. Thank you for that.
So, but yeah, it's definitely a fun um, journey with writing the book.
I mean, you had all the experience. I mean, you have so many out right now. That's incredible.
It's exciting. It's a lot of work, and I spend the whole weekend working on my fiction book now. So it takes time, and I feel frustrated that it's taking so much time. But I mean, unfortunately, it takes few years,
Yeah.
to be honest, from start to finish. From the idea to actually putting it and going through rounds and rounds and rounds of editing. Even if you think it's good, my last book, The Formula of Desire, when editor said it's perfect, I did 5 more rounds of editing because for me it was not good enough. I was like, I have 6 weeks. I was like, I can do this.
I understand that completely because I'm a perfectionist. Every detail matters, in everything that you do, right? Not just in like the work that we do, but just in life and general.
So, but every time I feel like every time you read it, you're kind of like, oh, I feel like I missed this one. Or
Yeah.
maybe this one needs to be moved. I mean, at
Yeah.
some point, I took one of the chapters. Oh, so I rewrote my first chapter like 4 times. I'm not kidding. From the first submission, when I got my agent, when I sold my book, right, to the final version, I think it's 4 times, right?
Wow.
And then one of the chapters, I took that chapter, I dissected it. I felt like, the beginning of I felt like it was a sandwich, right? The beginning
Uh,
of the book and the end of the book, it's one chapter. And then the middle of the book is another chapter. And
yeah.
then I took other 2 chapters and I felt like, well, it's a slow start. I need
Yeah.
to make it like a little bit faster. So I combined the chapters and I started cutting out stuff. So it was interesting.
That's incredible. I find myself doing the same thing too when I'm on the plane and I'm writing. I will like I have like at least like 2 chapters done so far, and I've done the same thing where I've gone into like the middle of like a massive segment. I'm like, "You know what? Let me actually cut this out and like put this here and then take this part and put it up here." Because it's all about like pacing and right and the flow and like that kind of thing. And oh my gosh, it's such a challenge, but it's worth it because nothing good ever comes easy, you know?
And it's a process, like
Yeah.
especially when you wrote the chapter like a year ago, right? And this year you changed to developed, right? And when you
Yeah.
look back, it's kind of like, wow, this is something I wrote 12 months ago. So that's why I feel like, and also research because I do the nonfiction and research, and I get so excited about this new research.
Mhm.
So, but all this new stuff, I was like, oh, I don't want to miss this stuff. I need to add it.
Gotta make sure it gets in there.
Yep. So, as we start wrapping up, can you share with our viewers where they can find you if they want to hire you as a makeup artist, if they want to get consultation, if they want to purchase your book soon?
Yeah, so I my Instagram is Marcos Gabriel MUA. That's the same handle for my TikTok, YouTube. My website is www.marcosgabrielmua.com. You can see examples of my work there. You can inquire about booking. And I imagine that is also where the book will have its own link relatively soon.
Awesome. Thank you. And before we start wrapping up, if you can share one final piece of advice.
Be persistent and never give up.
I love that.
Always believe.
I love that. You're so amazing. I wish you all the luck, and I can't wait to see you behind stage, on stage, right? Miss USA, pageants, Fashion Week, book author.
And soon Europe.
Yep. And music videos, right?
Yes, all of it.
Everything. Awesome. So thank you for being here with me. Thank you for watching us, and we will see you again in 2 weeks. Thank you, Marcus. You're
Thank
awesome.
you so much, Anna. It was a pleasure to be here with you tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Shot for the round and mid deploy, ayy. Ran up on my dollar, catch a slow, ayy. What? Nigga, No boyfriend, 4 for 1 to the project. Lying young and street, made the pussy, bring the